They tell me the bog remembers everything. I didn't understand what that meant until tonight. Now I think I do. I am not a soldier. I am not a criminal, no matter what they'll say about me later. I am a person, walking a path I did not choose, toward water that never quite freezes and never quite thaws. They call it the mother, the bog that gives grain when the fields fail, that gives iron when you sink bundles of reeds into it and wait a season. Tonight, it's going to take something back. Me. I ate this morning, more than I have in days. Barley porridge, cooked plain, a little flax stirred through it, some knot grass seed that got in with the grain and nobody bothered to pick out. No meat. There hasn't been meat for weeks. Not for me. I didn't ask why. You learn not to ask why in the last stretch before something like this. My hands are clean. Someone came and washed them last night, working the dirt out from under my nails with a bone comb, like it mattered whether the dirt was there. Maybe it does matter. Maybe where I'm going, hands are looked at. I don't carry a weapon. I don't carry anything, actually, except the cloak they put over my shoulders this morning, finer than anything I've worn before, and a leather cap someone shaped to fit my head exactly, like they'd been planning it a long time. Maybe they had. The men walking beside me don't speak. Down here, on the path to the water, a whisper carries further than it should, the same way it does underground, the same way sound plays tricks in places built from silence. I keep waiting for someone to tell me it's a mistake. Nobody does. There are more of us on this path than I expected. Not many, but more than I thought a thing like this would need. Someone carries a torch that isn't lit yet, saved for the walk back without me. Someone else carries a coil of rope that isn't the one meant for my own neck, a spare, or maybe meant for something else entirely, and I decide I don't want to know which. An old woman walks near the front, and she's the only one who looks at me directly, not with pity exactly, more like recognition. The way you'd look at weather you'd seen coming for days. I wonder if you walked this same path once, years ago, beside someone else, and came back up alone the way these men are going to come back up alone tonight. I wonder if it gets easier the more times you've done it. I hope for her sake that it doesn't. Something shouldn't get easier. The ground under the torches is already churned up. Other footprints pressed into the mud from earlier trips, carrying wood, carrying the branches I'll feel later, carrying whatever else a night like this requires that I haven't seen yet. So this wasn't decided this morning. This was decided long before I ate that porridge, long before anyone washed my hands with a bone comb, maybe even before I knew my own name well enough to understand what it would mean to lose it. That should frighten me more than it does. Instead, it just makes the whole night feel less like something happening to me and more like something I walked into the middle of, already moving, already certain. The way to river is already certain of where it's going before you ever step into it. The path narrows as we get close, the ground going soft under my feet, then softer, then the particular give of peat, spongy and cold even through the soles of my shoes. I can smell it before I can see it properly. Wet moss and something mineral underneath, like the inside of a well. The bog doesn't look like much in this light. Flat black water, moss growing right up to the edge in mounds, no ripple, no sound. Nothing that says danger the way a river does. That's what makes it worse. Rivers fight you. The bog just waits. Someone takes my cloak back off my shoulders, folding it carefully, the way you'd fold something that's going to be used again by someone else later. I'm cold immediately. I try not to let it show. A man I don't recognize steps in front of me, and for a moment I think he's going to speak, going to explain finally why it's me and not one of the others. He doesn't. He reaches up instead and closes my eyes with 2 fingers, gently, the way you'd close the eyes of someone who'd already died in their sleep. I open them again. He does it a second time, and this time I understand. This isn't a question. It's a kindness, or it's meant to look like one, and either way, I stop fighting it. Somewhere behind me, someone is talking in a low voice, the same tone I imagine gets used over a sick animal or a field before planting. I catch pieces of it. Sky, earth, water. 3 words spoken like they're ode to 3 different listeners. 3 different powers I've been told about since I was young, but never really believed in until right now. Standing at the edge of black water with my eyes being closed for me a second time, the cord goes around my neck before I fully register the hands doing it. Braided leather, worked soft by someone's fingers over days, maybe weeks, not thrown together this morning. Someone made this on purpose. Someone made this for me. I think about that more than I think about what it's for. There's a moment, right before, where everything goes very quiet in a way that has nothing to do with the bog at all. It's inside my own head. I think about the porridge I eat this morning, and whether anyone will ever know I ate it, whether it will matter to anyone, whether anything about today will matter to anyone who's standing here right now. I think it won't. I'm wrong about that, though I have no way of knowing it yet. Someone, a very long time from now, is going to find what's left of me and know exactly what I ate, down to the last weed seed, and never know my name, and stand in a room with a glass case between us and call the look on my face peaceful. They won't know about the second time he closed my eyes. They won't know I didn't fight it. They'll just see calm and call it calm. Because calm is what a still face looks like from the outside, no matter what was happening on the inside of it. The cord tightens. I want to tell you it was quick, that I can wrap this up clean the way stories are supposed to end, a breath and then nothing. I can't tell you that, because I don't fully know myself, not from in here, not with my eyes closed and the moss cold under my knees, and voices around me that have stopped sounding like voices and started sounding like weather. What I know is this. Hands lower me down, not drop me. Lower me, careful. The way you'd lower something you didn't want broken. The peat closes over me slow, not like water rushing in, more like the bog deciding, 1 inch at a time, that I belong to it now. It's not violent, the going under part. That's the strange thing nobody who wasn't here will ever understand. The dying was violent. The after is almost gentle. I feel myself get pressed into a shape, folded slightly at the knees, the way you'd fold into a bed too short for you. And I feel branches laid over the top of me, deliberate, weighted, not to hide me, but to hold me, to keep the bog from changing its mind and giving me back. Somewhere above, muffled by peat and moss and cold black water, I think I hear the men who did this still talking, low, unhurried, the way people talk after something that had to be done is finally done. I don't know if they're sorry. I don't know if sorry is even a thing they have room for in a year when the harvest failed twice and the winter before it took half the village, in a world where the sky and the earth and the water all need paying, one way or another, and someone always has to be the payment. Maybe I was chosen because of my hands, soft, never worked hard in a field, marking me as someone whose absence a household could survive. Maybe I was chosen for exactly the opposite reason, because I mattered enough that giving me up meant something. I'll never get to explain it to anyone, which one it was. That's the last thing that occurs to me, actually. Not fear. Not even the cold, though the cold is everywhere by now, inside and out, indistinguishable from the peat itself. It's this. Somewhere far off, past all the counting of years I can't do anymore, someone is going to dig me up by accident, looking for fuel, looking for nothing in particular, and they are going to see my face and think for 1 full second that I only died recently. They'll be wrong about the recently. They'll be right about the rest. The bog doesn't let go of what it takes. It just waits long enough that everyone who could tell you why is already gone, and lets the ones who find you build a story out of what's left. Out of a coiled rope and a closed pair of eyes and a stomach full of plain porridge eaten on a cold morning by someone who didn't get a say. I go quiet, the way the tunnel goes quiet under 80 feet of soil, the way anything goes quiet once the digging stops and there's nothing left to do but wait and see what the dark decides to do with you. The moss settles, The water goes still again, the way it always does, the way it was still before I ever walked down to it, the way it will be still long after every person standing here tonight has been forgotten the ordinary way, the way most people are forgotten, without a bog, without a glass case, without anyone 2,000 years from now closing their eyes a second time out of something that might have been kindness and might just have been ceremony wearing kindness's clothes. Either way, it closes over me now, and I stop being someone with a name and start being something the ground decided to keep. Somewhere far above all of this, centuries stacking on centuries like layers of the same moss, a man is going to be cutting fuel for his fire, and his spade is going to catch on something that isn't peat. He's going to call for his brother, and his brother is going to call for someone with more authority than either of them. And that person is going to kneel down in the cut earth and go very, very still. They will think at first that I am recent. They always do. The skin doesn't know how to look 2,000 years old even when it is. And for a moment, I will be, to them, a mystery with a very short, very urgent answer. They'll bring lights and careful hands and small brushes instead of spades, and they will lift me the way that man lifted me all those centuries ago. Careful, like something that could still be broken. They'll lay me on a table under a light brighter than anything I ever stood under alive, and they will look at my stomach and my throat and the rope and the soft, unworked hands, and they will start doing what people always do with a silence dislodge. They'll fill it. They'll give me a reason, and then, a generation later, a different reason, and then a third, gentler than the first two. And none of them will ask me which one is true, because none of them can. That's the part of this I didn't understand walking down to the water. I thought the worst thing would be the dying. It wasn't. The worst thing is being spoken for forever by people who mean well and still get it wrong, who will call my face peaceful in a language that doesn't exist yet, who will never know about the second time he closed my eyes, or the old woman at the front of the procession, or the porridge, or any of it really, except what the peat happened to keep. Still, they will stand in front of the glass, some of them, and go quiet in a way that has nothing to do with boredom, and for a few seconds, whatever else they get wrong, they will feel exactly what they're supposed to feel. That I was a person, that someone walked me down to this water, that it mattered once, more than the reasons anyone could ever fully recover. That will have to be enough. It's the only thing the bog was ever going to let me keep.